Hi, and thanks for listening to Let's Talk About with POGCat. Just want to give a quick warning that in the recording of our first episode, we do have a bit of background noise from both ends, but hopefully we can resolve that going forward. Please enjoy the episode. Welcome to Let's Talk About It with POGCat, the bi-weekly podcast where my friend and I, Kat, will talk about whatever it is that we want. I am your host, Mintyhoney. I am fairly new to YouTube. I haven't really posted much aside from my Sunday Funday streams. But yeah, I am one of your hosts, and my co-host here is Kat.
Hey, this is Kat. I'm just doing this because Minty dragged me along. Really new to all of this.
Whoa! Don't lie! Don't lie! You asked to be a co-host.
Well, yeah, completely new to this, so probably gonna mess up a ton, but hopefully to have fun and talk about a lot of things.
Yeah, we're here for a good time, not a long time. So, this whole thing kind of started because I for those of you that know, I have previously done a podcast called Annie Dating, where my friend, shout out to Chemistry, my previous co-host, and I would kind of talk about our woes of dating as an otaku and being single and like dealing with that sort of realm. But since the pandemic has happened for the past 2 years, that has died, and that's okay. Not everyone needs to date, and that's okay. So, I don't know. Do you listen to many podcasts, Kat?
Not really.
Oh,
Not really too big on this. I've listened to some TED Talks about it.
Okay, well, like for me personally, I listen to a lot of podcasts, but a lot of the podcasts I listen to tend to be like just casual hosts talking about whatever I want. There's a couple of like NPR ones I listened to last year, but yeah, I got really like inspired to do a podcast earlier this year where I was like, oh, I just want to hang out with a friend and just talk about stuff and have that kind of be like sort of like a bi-weekly in this case, journal of like what's been going on in our lives. And yeah.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's get this started.
As if we haven't already been starting. What was I gonna say? Oh, I guess we can talk about like how we know each other and how we recently met. Even though
You mean how we the time that you don't remember that we already met, or
okay.
or the second time?
The second time. So, so we first, I would say, formally met on Discord through like a friend of a friend, I would say. And then, yes, that's how it all started. We kind of like just hung out online for the past year at this point? Over a year.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Although we actually did meet in person before that, but you don't remember.
Nope.
Understandable.
Okay, in fairness though, so like as some people know, I am one of my hobbies is cosplaying, and one of the I would say one of my bad habits about being in cosplay and attending conventions is that I'll meet a lot of people, and honestly, unless you're in a costume that I like have seared into the back of my memory, if it's a normal person, I honestly don't remember as much. So we have technically met through another friend at a convention, but I would say my memory escapes me for when I formally met you the first time.
Understandable.
And then yeah, I would say this will be a topic that we'll talk about later, is like social media. So one of my mutuals, well, not mutuals because we're actually friends from college, had like started a Discord group for like friends, like with his personal Discord from what I remember, and that like it's like, oh, that's where they go to watch anime together as a group, since a lot of us have moved away from Facebook. So yeah, that's how we technically met. Technically, in my mind, the first time was through Discord. And the start of the pandemic, obviously everyone's home hanging out online more, and I would say Discord has been a very good platform. I don't want to say platform.
Very good social media platform. Spoilers.
I don't consider it to be a social media, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, like we're thanks to Discord, I feel like I'm just shilling out Discord at this point. I'm like, no, everyone should have a Discord. You know, get together with your friends online.
Look at all these friends I made on Discord. Great social media platform.
Oh, but yeah. And that's how we met. And then I wanted to make a podcast, and Kat is my co-host. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things, not things, but like one of the ideas I had for this podcast was just to kind of talk about things that happened in our lives. So one of the most recent things that happened this week, I feel like every week there's a lot of shit that happens, but like this week, what the Twitch leak happened, where I guess the code was taken. If I'm using the wrong terms, feel free to correct me. But like
Leaked.
leaked.
Yeah, same thing.
The code was leaked out for how Twitch works, and in that came with a lot of I would say backlash of like, oh, look at how much all these streamers make. Look at all the money they're making. And personally, as someone who has streamed on Twitch, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's a big deal that, wow, Twitch makes all this money, because the money that's like being posted is like half the cut essentially of what Twitch makes. A lot of things about Twitch can be improved on, and the fact they have all this money and that like Capazon's not doing anything, I'm just like, what a bad look.
I mean, I think a lot of people are just kind of shocked. Like they know all the streamers were making money, but they didn't realize in a month they're making what some people make in a year or more than that.
That's true.
So, and to them, they're doing nothing but having fun playing video games. Why are they making so much money? So that's, I guess, what someone that doesn't understand the whole scene would think.
I guess I feel like it's become almost, I don't want to say normalized, but like when Ninja, that's his name, right? The Fortnite streamer that was like really big on Twitch and then switched over to whatever platform Microsoft was using and then went back to Twitch. Like he became, I remember like my coworker who has he doesn't like I have a lot of normie coworkers, I would say, that don't know anything about how like Twitch streaming or that kind of thing works. Like one of my coworkers was like, have you heard of this person named Ninja? He makes so much money like playing video games. I'm like, yeah, it do be like that. Kind of like how there's big YouTubers that make a lot of money making stuff on YouTube. So I would have thought that it's a normal thing, but I guess for a lot of people out there, even on the internet, they don't realize how much money something like streaming makes.
Yeah, it's definitely a different time period now, where you go to colleges and they have esports teams, and even high schools have like esports clubs, or League of Legends clubs or teams or stuff like that. So it's different than back then, where there's no money into this. Everything's more like underground. Like you have to go to some dinky basement somewhere, have your LAN parties. Now it's more, I guess, accepted, and a lot more like if you told someone 15 years ago, yeah, you can have a video game fill up a stadium with spectators, no one would believe you.
That's true. Even for like where I am locally, there's like esports stadiums, and I'm just like, wow, I didn't think like to make a whole stadium dedicated to this is pretty wild.
Just hundreds of thousands of people going to a stadium or going wherever, sitting down and watching like 10 dudes play video games on a stage.
Right? I think it's cool. I don't know. I've been to like a live esports event. I think it was like the North America League Championship Series it was several years ago at this point, but it is fun. It is exciting. They get you really hyped up in the audience. They like throw things. It's like being at a sporting event, like a true sporting event. They'll give you like the blow up things, where you like blow it up and you clap it, I guess, together. Like at a basketball game, and they throw out plushies at you and t-shirts, and it's like, wow. Really makes you want to be invested into this game.
They're really emphasizing the sport from the esports,
Yep. That's pretty much all I have in regards to the Twitch League. I didn't really have much. I was just kind of like, oh, that's a thing that happened this week.
Yeah, you see HQC making over 700K in a month just on Twitch.
Is he the one
payouts?
that like dunked the G Fuel into his mouth? Or is that someone else?
I wouldn't be surprised. He would be that type of person that would do it. I don't actually
I
know
feel like
though.
we need to have someone that's actually like listening to our podcast that like fact check us while we're recording. They're like, no, that's the wrong one. I'm like, oh, okay. What was it? The one that made the most income in the last 2 years was Critical Role, which was I'm not surprised, but I am surprised because I feel like D&D is such a niche thing that it's really exciting to see them do really well. They actually announced that since New York Comic Con is happening this weekend. Yes.
Yes, it's still happening.
Yes. They announced something for Critical Role. It was like their animated series that's going to be on Amazon in February. And I was like, that's exciting. It's so cool to see like this thing that a group of people started to have fun and just create like their own, not business per se, but their own like universe, like coming to life through like Twitch streams and also like their own original series. That's really cool. Well, yeah. Have you ever tried D&D?
No, I have not. I'm interested in trying if we ever decided to do it, but not yet.
I think early on in the pandemic, I have a friend who's like into, I don't want to say like role playing, but he's into like board games. So he like one of the things that he has tried out is kind of like something that's like a mix between the two, where I think he'll call it like I think he called it like Monster of the Week or something, where it's like, okay, you create a character and you pick what stats you give your character and we'll kind of play out on this board game thing of like how do we defeat this monster together. And it's like a very I don't want to say watered down, but it's a very baby version of what I guess I assume to be what D&D is like. It got to the point where like my friends and I were like, oh, what if we all got dice? And some of us bought dice, and I have a set of dice. I'm like, this is very pretty, but I'm not going to use it that often. Because on Tabletop Simulator on Steam, you have the dice in the game, so you don't really need the actual dice. And yeah.
Yeah, you're always a sucker for pretty dice. You go to a convention or something, and you're like, I don't even play this game, but the dice look cool. I want to buy a thing of dice.
Yeah, what was it? What was that? Oh, Time Warp, where we went to.
Yes.
They had dice, and I'm like, ooh, I want to take a look. I'm like, no, you don't go here. You should stop. You should go to the manga section. Go to your corner. Don't buy shit.
You go to the dealer room, and they're like, oh, here's a pouch. Fill up your pouch of dice, and it's however many dollars. And you're like, I'm never really gonna need more than 2 if I actually do need dice. But let me just fill up a whole sack.
Sometimes you just want a pretty set, you know. Speaking of, actually, the one cool thing about dice, I would say, is that it kind of like evolved also into a hobby. This will kind of segue to our next topic about custom keyboards. But I have a friend who got into doing like their own like dice making during the pandemic. Like they got into like resin making, and they're like, oh, I can make my own custom dice, and it's so pretty. And like seeing that kind of like it's almost adjacent to like why people get custom keyboards too. It's like, oh, it's so simple yet so pretty, and some of the more quote unquote artisanal keyboards are really cool to look at. Funny thing is, I think it was during the week of Mid-Autumn Festival, a friend had linked me a custom keycap of like mooncake. Did I ever show it to you?
I don't think so.
Let me go find it. It's so cool. It's so pretty. It's like they had these like keycaps, like they're single keycaps that were for sale that look like mooncake, and I'm like, yo, what if I just got one keycap? Like just one, just a treat. I found it. Let me link it to you. But it's like I had decided to just order one, but now I'm like, but now I want to have a keycap set that like fits around this one keycap. So like I got the
that actually looks really cool.
Right? It looks so pretty, and I even like
because those type of mooncake actually do look like that.
Yeah.
It looks really real.
It's so pretty. They were actually, I think they're sold out of the traditional mooncake. There was the original like the more brown mooncake that was on sale, but I think they actually sold out of it. But it's so pretty, and I got the green tea snowskin mooncake keycap, and I'm like, damn it! Now I'm on the hunt for like looking for custom keycaps, and I'm like, well, what if I decide to like get a whole new keyboard? And then I was got sucked into looking at like different switches, which I forget, what switches do you have for your keyboard?
I have a one that's with cherry red, cherry blues, browns. The one I'm using right now is like some low profile switch. I don't know what this one is off the top of my head. It's the one off the wireless Logitech keyboard.
Interesting. I am a big fan of like what we consider like the cherry blues, which a lot of people are like, oh, that's loud. I'm like,
The
I'm just,
obnoxiously clicking ones.
it's so pretty. Here, I'll just type. I don't know if my mic will pick it up, but like, I think it's very pretty.
Yeah, I use those at work. I'm that guy that everyone hates because I bring cherry blues to work.
Oh my god! Oh, wait, so you actually bring your own keyboard to work?
Yeah, because the one they give us at work, it's like those, the generic membrane squishy ones, and type a fairly good amount. So, and I had an extra keyboard at home, so I just brought it. And now it's just clack, 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 clack.
Interesting. Dang, now I'm in this like, oh, I want to look at all sorts of like keycaps now. So I was looking at like group orders, and I'm like, damn, gotta wait for like a whole year plus to like get a keycap set. I'm just like, oh, is this worth it? I don't know.
It's a big rabbit hole. You're gonna start like PC peripherals. You're gonna go in. Oh, these look nice, and then you start getting the high-end one, and after you get the high-end stuff, you're like, wait, there's custom stuff. For this money, I can get a custom one. And then you start like mixing and matching and building, and you're like, wait, I can mix this with that, and
yeah, it's
and then you're never satisfied, and you keep switching things out.
God, truly, it's such
Frankenstein.
a expensive hobby. And then one of my friends from high school, actually, he was like, posted on Instagram like selling this keyboard base, and I didn't understand that, like, oh, it does not include the keys. And I'm like, oh, so how much is this going for? And he was like, oh, this is like for this base keyboard with the switches and like the actual is it just called the keyboard base? I don't remember if it's called anything in particular, but like he was saying like, oh yeah, this is like, I'm selling this for like $450, and I like choked on my like water. I'm like, oh, okay. And he was like, yeah, it's not depends on what you want to go for. If you want a nice keyboard, that's how much I'm selling it for. If you're looking, and he gave me some tips on like, if you're looking for something pretty standard but still customizable, this is the route you should go down. And he's like, this is baseline, like maybe 200. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so again, depends on, I guess, how much you want to customize it. You can get the case, and then you can get like the board on it, and then the switches themselves, and then some stabilizers.
Wait, so the case is different from the board itself?
Well, the board as in like the PCB board for that case.
Oh.
So if you want to build it like layer by layer, which some people do, because they're like, oh, I have very refined taste, I want specifically these things.
Interesting.
I think the level you're at right now is, I'm going to buy a mechanical keyboard and then swap out
yes, that's
the
what
keycaps.
I want. That's what
so
I want.
you what you're buying already has the switches and everything. You're just customizing the top layer and putting down mooncakes.
Hell yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for. I'm not that picky about things. I just want something pretty. Oh man,
understandable. You gotta make everything match the aesthetic. Have to have the keyboard match, your other accessories on your computer. Make it look nice.
Yeah. Now I'm just looking at like one of the on the site, the drop site or whatever. But like, oh, what does this include? And like they get all real fancy with like description, like named after there's this thing called the Drop Carina Mechanical Keyboard Kit, and in the description reads, named after the Carina constellation, which signifies the hull of a ship in Latin. This keyboard is one vessel with a formidable foundation. And I'm just like, what? What am I reading? Like just squinting. I'm like, what does this mean?
And you realize, that's a keyboard.
It's like builds with a frosty acrylic case and fully programmable RGB LEDs. The Carina is designed to brighten up any space. Sculpted in the 60% form factor, it's a space efficient and portable. Unique to the Carina design is the combination of a tray mount construction.
I have that page open right now.
Oh my god! Wait, so this is just the base, but does not come with the switches, right? That's what it's. Yeah, this is the kind of. This is the kind of shit that I'm like, what is happening in this description? I am so confused.
Yeah, so you would need to get your own switches and plop them in.
See, this is the kind of stuff that I'm like, my head is so empty. I'm just like, what? I'll read these descriptions and I'm like, I guess? Am I buying the right things? And then, yeah, this is like the kind of loophole that I am very much so like, oh no, I fall into a trap and I can't get out.
It's $120 and how much for the keys?
Right? Well, it's not
just
too
bottom?
bad. I can see this. This is where I'm like, okay, I can see where things get really expensive. Like, another friend, when I asked about keycaps, he sent me like a site specifically for like, here are the pre-orders that are, group buys that like, if you're interested. And I'm like, no, they're so pretty, but why? Why are they so far away? They'll be like, oh, late Q4 for 2022, and I'm like, oh, that's far.
Yeah, I think right now it's not as niche as it was before, but it's definitely still not mainstream, at least to the extent of building it from the ground up. Like now it's more mainstream to have like gaming keyboards with certain switches in them, because now, the new hotness is, oh, you want mechanical switches, but that's kind of as far as it's gone.
Yeah.
They haven't gone to the really mix and match everything yet.
See, that makes sense to me. What I find really interesting is that like I was reading about like why some people get really invested into like customizing their keyboard, and someone had said like, well, I mean, if what you do is work on a computer all day, don't you want to have it like have this one be one of the things that you invest in? You have like the actual computer running, and then you have like the keyboard that you are physically typing into every single day. And I'm like, oh, huh. That makes a lot of sense, right? Like kind of like, oh, if you cook every day, you would want a good kitchen knife set kind of thing.
Yeah, it's that to an extent. It's like it's that up to a certain point, and then past a certain point, it's more just like aesthetics, right? Because it's like you would get. It's just kind of diminishing returns. Like you can only you're switching so much, and most people I think can't really tell the difference if you're typing with a certain switch and it hits like a back plate that's a specific material. That's like, oh yes, I can hear it. The marina. Oh yeah. Like it's just this feels good to type on. You're typing it, and then after a certain point, it's like, okay, I want to make it look nice. I want to complete my setup type of deal.
Yeah.
Or at least that's my opinion. I'm not that snobby about keyboards.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, at first, like, what was it? When I was like not building a computer, because graphic cards are difficult to find. I had to like buy, thanks for your help, by the way, find a pre-build computer, and like it was like I upgraded one thing, and then slowly my one other aspect of my setup was like dying. Like my mouse was like no longer working, so I had to like switch to another gamer mouse that I had, and it took me like, I had complained about it like literally the first day, and I was like, man, it's too light, I feel like I'm just gonna swing it, it's gonna go too far. And like little things, I'm like, now I'm already used to it. I'm like, oh, it's nice. But now I kind of want to get like a wireless mouse after seeing your mouse and Dom's mouse, actually. Like I see the appeal now, and it felt so
the
light.
more you use it, you're like, wow,
quality of life
since I'm using it so
improvement.
much, right? Since I'm using it so much, all like the bad, all the cons, you start seeing them more, and you want more specific things. The more you use it, you're like, oh, I want to be this certain weight, this shape, wireless, wired. Yeah. Whereas before, if you're only using it, occasionally for a couple games, or let's just like a couple hours for work, and you're like, oh, this is fine, I'll just deal with it. But now, like after, especially if you have like a really nice setup at home, and then you go to the office and you use whatever they give you, and you're like, oh, this $5 crappy mouse is I can't deal with this.
Yes, now I am thinking more and more about like these quality of life upgrades to like getting a wireless mouse. Like I'm looking at my mouse right now, and the wire is like beaten up from like where it like grazes part of my computer stand, and like I can see the wear and tear on it, even though I'm not doing it
Yeah, it's like
much.
fraying. It's fraying because you're rubbing
Yeah.
against.
Yeah, now I'm
There's something
like,
you can buy for that. There's like a thing that like lifts up the wire a little bit, so you're not. But if you're going wireless, you don't even need that.
yeah, I think I just like how lightweight the wireless one you have it is. It's very, very nice. Very nice. That was the only other thing I had about custom keyboards. It's just like my constant like, oh, I'm getting into another hobby. Like it's like the psychic damage I do to myself where it's like, oh, thinking about how much things cost, like,
Yeah, it adds
oh,
up. It's like, oh, it's $60 here, $100 there, and individually you're like, oh, it's fine, and then you realize you're replacing everything.
yeah, truly. That's how I felt about like cosplay too, for to a degree where it's like, oh, but I can spend just like maybe $5 more and get this nicer fabric, and it's this costume that has once maybe budgeted to be like $50 is now like 100. I'm like, oh no, and doing that multiple times a year, I'm like, oh no, cosplay is expensive, and now I have all this like stuff. At least the good thing about like, investing in technology versus something that's like more craft based is that like there is to some degree like a return value, right? Like I can always give it, like it can still be used until it's no longer
Right,
useful.
right. It's not custom or
Yeah.
as niche, where it's like if you make an outfit up, that's my size
Yep.
for this specific character that I
Ugh.
like.
Ugh. Truly. So the next topic that kind of came up because I was listening to another podcast yesterday, and which is the Try Guys have like a podcast called The Tripod, and I really like listening to it when I'm working. And one of the things that someone had brought up was, oh, what's your favorite form of social media to keep in touch with friends? And I had brought this question up into the Comfy server, and I was like, oh, like, what is your favorite? Like, asking that same exact question. And when, like, I think Steve had said, like, Discord, and I'm like, what? Like for some reason I could not comprehend Discord being a social media platform, because I see it as more of a, I don't know, like a source, like a forum
Like a
almost.
like something between a forum and like a Skype.
Yeah, Skype slash Facebook group.
Like yeah, like a
It's
chat tool versus not
yeah.
like a something you have your own page on. People click your own page and
Yeah,
go through
but
pictures
then
and stuff
someone
like
was
that.
like, "Oh, I was looking at some. Like, I guess I was thinking about other social media things." I'm like, like Reddit is technically considered a social media too, like, and that's like a forum based.
Yeah, I guess like technically because it's like the technical definition. What was that? We looked it up before. It's
Oh, here, I'll pull it up. It's so we were looking at tier makers, defining social media as broadly any internet-based service that allows the communication of ideas between individuals. So this person had gone and make their own social media template, which it made me laugh because I was looking at. I'm like, wait, what? Like,
my
I
favorite social media, Steam.
Steam, which there are like comments. You do have a profile. You could post reviews and stuff. Like
It
it
it it
makes
technically is. It
sense.
technically is.
Yeah, so that's why I was like looking at like these icons, which we also joked around like, oh, we're gonna be a real boomer for not knowing some of these icons. Like it's funny because like on the tripod, one of the hosts or co-hosts had said like, oh yeah, if you want to know what people are up to, you just go to Venmo, and I'm like, wait, what? And then I didn't realize like if you go to Venmo, you actually see what people are, sending money to, but you can like or comment on people's posts
Yeah,
if
you
you
can.
really
You can.
wanted to. So I was just
If
like,
you make it public,
yeah,
like
yeah,
when you pay someone and you're like, oh, pay publicly, but you can set
yeah.
it so it's either only friends can see or everyone can see. But that's just kind of creepy. Like you're gonna pay someone, oh, thanks for the sushi, and then some other guy is just like, nice.
Well, like someone had like my like I think it was like Steve had made a comment of like, oh yeah, you can see that if someone's living with a roommate because they're like paying rent towards that roommate or something. And I like it, like I looked at my like feed and I saw like, oh, this friend is living with this friend. I'm like, oh, I really do know more about this person's day-to-day life, like in that regard, compared to what they post on like Instagram or anything like that. So it was really funny that I'm like, huh, I guess Venmo is a form of social media. It's such a weird broad thing to think about, because I guess like when people think about social media, they think about like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Right. Like you
YouTube.
have your own page, you have
Mm-hmm.
pictures, you know, somewhere you can leave comments for,
Yeah.
chat.
I guess I also think of it as like, mm, I think in my mind I kind of lump things for social media to also be content creation too, to a degree, right? Like, oh, like you are producing content for people to consume and communicate with these people, which is why I consider like, you know, YouTube and like things like TikTok and formerly Vine and like all those things to be social media. But I would never consider Venmo to be social media, because it's not, you know, you're not like sharing this with the world so that people could be like, oh, hashtag goals, you know, like that's so strange to me.
Yeah. It has some aspects of it. Like if you think about Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and then you think about what Steam can do, technically most of the stuff you can do on Facebook you can do on Steam. Like you have your own profile, you can have groups, you can comment, you can there's like, you know, Steam chat, you can have messaging, you can have events. Like
Oh, I
Steam
forgot.
actually
Wait,
Steam
really?
actually can do it. Yeah, yeah, there can be,
Oh,
you know,
I didn't know
in
that.
certain games they'll have like events where it's like, you know, if you log in this weekend something happens or something like that.
Yeah.
But actually, Steam's actually really similar to Facebook.
That's so interesting. Like, I only consider Steam to be like the place I go to get games, and that's it. And
Right.
like read game reviews.
And speaking of like the content creation you were talking about, you know, if you go to the Steam Workshop, you know, there's people uploading add-ons and whatnots for all their games, so they're creating stuff
Oh.
there too. And there's
Hmm.
like reviews, guides, and all that stuff. So,
Yeah. Huh.
but yeah, for most people, you just log in, buy a game, play a game, and that's it. But
Yeah.
if you care enough to flesh it out, there's a whole like profile and identity and community there too.
Interesting. I guess like at what point does something become quote unquote social media versus like this is a tool meant to help connect you with people? Like kind of like I'm looking at this. I think this is the Tinder icon, the one that's like right here.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, is it social media? Because you can, it's not like it's a, you can see everyone's profile. You can eventually look at different people's profiles, but it's like a selective thing, you know? And there's not like one big feed, I don't think, that you can see here are all the potential people you could meet. I don't know. I think it's just strange to see that qualify, I guess. Same with like, there's a couple things here I'm like, I don't consider it to be like, it's weird to think about. Like, I know LinkedIn is considered social media. I actually go through like once in a while and look at my LinkedIn to see what my like college classmates are up to. And there'll be like
And
someone
then get depressed?
to some degree. When I see they get
Or is it just me?
promotions, nah, the depression kicks in when I realize like, man, they're doing
They're
things with
doing
their,
what now?
yeah.
They're doing what now?
Yeah, but there's some people on there that I didn't realize are very active. Like on there, they'll like comment on their
Yeah.
company's posts, like 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 write
Yeah, they
encouraging
share stuff,
comments.
they share articles, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, this is I read this is really inspirational," and whatever.
yeah,
Whereas like
it's
people like
strange.
us just go in and update our info every once in a while, and
I
then
don't think I've updated my info in like years at this point.
well,
Oh my
usually what
god.
what happens for most people is nobody logs on to LinkedIn up until they're about to change jobs because they're like, well, better start adding everyone I didn't add at work before I leave. And
That's true. That's so true.
and then, you know, by the time you get to the new company, you're like, well, time to update. This is where I work now. And then like add my manager, add my coworkers,
Oh
and
my
then don't
gosh.
touch it until you're about to leave again, and then the cycle continues. Well, time to add everyone I didn't add. That's
Oh my
just my
god.
personal experience, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think for this chart at least, they're just defining it
It's like
pretty much as
anything that.
anything where you kind of have your own profile and you're interacting with other people. I think that's kind of
I guess it's weird because they have like the call icon, the FaceTime icon. I'm like, those are just built-in
Oh, no,
applications to your iPhone.
that's WhatsApp.
Wait, which one? This one?
First one, yeah, that's
But
WhatsApp.
this is FaceTime, isn't it?
I don't. Sure, that's
Are you sure this
FaceTime.
is WhatsApp?
I don't have an iPhone. That's WhatsApp. That's the WhatsApp icon.
Oh, this is a FaceTime thing for sure. That's why I'm like, what? This is
Well,
where I'm like, oh, there's Facebook and there's Facebook Messenger. I'm like, they are the same thing. It's an extension. They're not separate. But I know there's people who consider them separate, but to me, it's like you can only use one if you have the other. So
actually, I don't remember. You can use Messenger without having the Facebook app, I
no,
think.
but
Or
you
can
still have
you
to
use,
have an active Facebook
you need an
profile.
account? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I shut down my account, and when I did, I was like, oh, there goes my instant messenger. So that's why I converted everyone to Discord pretty early. I'm like, hey, we need another group
Yeah.
chat
Uh,
thing.
asking for your phone numbers? What do I look like, a boomer? We're sticking to online messaging tools. Are there actually communities and stuff on Zoom, or is Zoom just literally a
I
video
I think
calling thing?
I think
I've
I
used it
mean
like
it's the same
a
thing with
handful of
Skype,
times.
right? Like Skype is in that same realm of like this is just video communication. This is going really deep into what the actual topic was. The actual topic was what is your favorite form of social media to keep in touch with friends? And I am curious about what your answer is. If like Discord does if Discord does qualify for a social media, would that be your main platform to keep up with friends?
I probably is the one I probably use the most now because it's
Yeah,
just so convenient.
I agree. Oh, I
It's
don't want to admit it though. Oh,
because it's kind of like Messenger, but you don't have to make all these extra groups. You're just in the like the server, and you can share things.
yeah. And if you want to directly DM someone,
You
you
can hop in
could.
and out of voice chat. It's not like Messenger where if you call the group, you call everyone in the group,
Yeah.
and everyone gets annoyed that you call everyone in the group.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh man, I don't want to admit it because my original thing was gonna be Twitter actually because like I there's some people that like I don't necessarily have added on Discord. Twitter would be like that would have been my first choice, but then I realized like Twitter is a good way for me to meet people, but to actually keep in touch with people. Like I there's some people I'll DM on Twitter, but there's some people I'll just like, hey, I'll just send a note on Discord. So I guess Discord and Twitter would be like my answer. It's just kind of strange. I guess it depends on like the group of people
It's like
too.
different, yeah. It's like a different use case too. It's like when you're
Mm,
sending someone something and you don't need them to immediately respond. You just wait for them to respond to whatever you can.
yeah.
Versus Discord's more like, hey, you ping someone, what's this, and then they just respond back. They're online because everyone just kind of loiters on Discord.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I treat Discord as like this is like where, the lobby of a hotel convention where it's like you're just going
Yeah.
to meet people and say, "Oh, what are you up to?" or yeah.
Hey, so what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm thinking about like there are some people that are not obviously on Discord and Twitter, and to that I tend to go to like Instagram because I can just DM them directly. You could make group chats in Instagram too. Yeah, I guess it kind of depends. Like one of my friends from college when we were like in Connecticut, I was messaging in the POGCat server, and he was like, "Oh, you've been posting your updates here." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have you added anywhere else." Like, like it's one
Yeah.
of those things where it's like I assume it would have been the most convenient thing, but he was like, "Oh, can I just text you?" And I'm like, "Text? Okay." There's nothing
Text.
wrong with texting. I was just like, "Oh, right, that's a thing."
When was the last time I got text from from someone that wasn't an automated like a text to verify your account?
It's like text to verify your account. Text like I only ever use text messages if like I know I don't have internet signal and I have to rely on like data, right? Or if it's like from my mom. Like those are the only people I get text messages from. Like, oh, okay. It was just interesting. Like, oh, I could text you when I get there. I'm like, but you can message me on Discord.
I'm looking through my text and it's all just like 5-digit numbers saying like, oh, your reservation, blah blah blah, or like, hey, your card payment, or hey, you're signing in from a new device. Here's the code. Those are all
Right?
the text, because everything now is just Messenger, Discord, other
Mm.
types of messaging apps.
It
No
always
one
makes
actually.
me it always makes me laugh whenever like Discord goes down and I'm like, how do I connect with people? Like there was
Oh,
no
you
alternative way.
you want me to call so and so? Oh, I don't have them added on Discord. Their phone number? Obviously, I don't have it.
Oh my god. Oh.
You can know people for years and not know their phone number because every time you call them on Messenger or something.
But yeah, that's all I had on the thing for this week's episode. Just kind of the things we talked about.
Yeah, this actually was a lot. Went into a lot more detail than I expected.
Right. I think this
Yeah,
is
more
my
in depth.
bad habit. It's like I get carried away. I'm like, well, what about this thing? Or like my head just kind of this is where like oh, in theory things like just chatting screen
Dreams.
just chatting streams are like they would be easy for me, but I think it's easier to talk to like another person directly talking to me versus like chat, you know? So that's all I got for this week. Do you have
Yeah,
any?
that's why for podcasts, more often than not, it's a couple of people sitting around talking and not one person.
I
Well, there is
know.
still one, but it's just easier to get that instant feedback and bouncing ideas back and forth.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if like we'll one day expand who else gets to join our podcast. I think it'll be fun.
Lots
I
and
need
lots of
someone to like
rotating guests.
someone to be our fact checker. I like default to Angle. I'm like, Angle, can you go check on this?
No, the easiest way to get the correct answer for something on the internet is be really confident and give a wrong answer.
No. With that, I think that's it for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk About with POGCat. Again, this is a bi-weekly release, so I'll be posting episodes generally around every Sunday if I can get things edited done in time. If not, it'll be alternating from when I stream to when I post these podcast episodes. And yeah, you got any final words, Kat, before I end it here?
We'll try our best to make Sunday, but no promises.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye.